In March 1861, Abraham Lincoln swore the oath of office under an unfinished Capitol dome, inheriting a nation in the process of fracturing. This map reveals the division Lincoln faced. 7 Deep South states, marked pink, formed the Confederacy. 8 other slaveholding states remained uncommitted. Virginia was the strategic keystone. Its agricultural resources, manufacturing, and direct border with Washington meant its allegiance would dictate the rebellion's reach. But Lincoln was working against a deadline. In South Carolina, United States Major Robert Anderson was trapped inside Fort Sumter, surrounded by hostile batteries. His garrison had exactly 6 weeks of food left. If Lincoln simply abandoned the fort, he would validate the secession and lose the confidence of the North, but if he sent the military to resupply it, he risked a war that could drive all 8 uncommitted states into the Confederacy. Lincoln announced he would send only provisions, food for hungry men. This forced Confederate President Jefferson Davis into a dilemma: allow the resupply and appear powerless, or fire the first shot and alienate the undecided states. Davis chose to fight. On April 12th, Confederate artillery opened fire on the fort, turning a political crisis into an armed conflict. The gamble worked for the South, outraged by Lincoln's subsequent call for troops, Virginia, Arkansas, North. Carolina and Tennessee immediately seceded. But what happens if we change that one decision? What happens if Lincoln orders a total, peaceful surrender of Fort Sumter in this timeline, instead of outfitting a relief fleet? In April 1861, Lincoln sends orders to Major Anderson to evacuate Charleston Harbor without firing a shot. The domestic fallout is immediate. Northern newspapers call the new president a coward, and his own party views the move as a total capitulation. But in Richmond, the political momentum shifts. The Virginia Secession Convention had already voted twice to stay in the Union without the provocation of a federal attack. That convention quietly adjourns, and Virginia remains loyal to the United States. By accepting a political defeat at Sumter, Lincoln starves the secessionists of their narrative. The Upper South refuses to flip. This leaves the Confederacy capped at 7 states, effectively landlocked to the north by loyal Union territory. This chart visualizes the demographic gap. The combined population of the North and Upper South was more than double the 7-state Confederacy. The industrial disparity is even more stark. The Confederacy relied on Virginia's Tredegar Iron Works for its artillery. Without Virginia's foundries, Southern manufacturing is incapable of sustaining a modern army. The Deep South also lacked a continuous railway network. Compared to the interconnected lines of the Union, the Confederacy has no efficient way to move men and supplies across its territory, cut off from the resources, factories, and manpower of the Upper South. The Confederacy is logistically incapable of maintaining a war of independence. To survive, the 7-state Confederacy looks to Europe, sending envoys to Britain and France to beg for diplomatic recognition. But Britain and France had already abolished slavery. To justify supporting a slaveholding nation, they needed to frame the conflict as a defensive struggle against Northern aggression, without a federal attack at Fort Sumter to point to. That justification disappears. European powers view the Confederacy simply as a rogue republic and deny it formal recognition. The South's economy, built on foreign trade, begins to implode without external partners or a buffer zone to protect its borders. The rebellion loses its financial viability. Earnest surrendering a brick fort in Charleston Harbor would have been a public humiliation for Abraham Lincoln, but it would have prevented the secession of the Upper South and preserved the Union as a single nation.